Okay, all right, we can get started now. So hello everyone, welcome to Grad Open House. We are in the MFA illustration presentation, and my name is Melanie Patterson. I am Assistant Director of Admissions, Communication, and Outreach. I'm also an alum from RISD from the undergraduate illustration department, and I graduated in 2014. And I will let Caleb here introduce himself.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Caleb Brown, and I am an associate professor in the illustration department, as well as the graduate program director for the MFA.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a presentation here. We're going to start with this, and when we are wrapped up, we are going to go into Q&A. So you can go ahead and start queuing up questions as you have them, and it is most helpful to use the Q&A box. I actually can't see the chat right now, so I'll probably get to that a little later, but yeah, use the Q&A, and we are excited to answer your questions once we're through with this. So, all right, so we'll get started.
Sure. So I'm going to turn off my camera now. So we thought that it might help for me to begin with a little context and history of the department. RISD has sustained one of the most reputable undergrad illustration programs in the world since the 1940s, and our new MFA is the latest chapter in our evolution. So we are housed in the newly renovated, I think we have to go back a couple, Melanie. Next one.
This is the next one.
Okay, so we may be looking at different slides. Let's make sure. So let me just get on the same page with you. So the department offers a wide range of elective classes at the undergrad level, everything from artistic anatomy and printmaking courses to editorial illustration and virtual reality, picture books, 3D illustration, character design, and concept art. And we have a really amazing array of faculty. We have over 50 full and part-time faculty members that teach across a really broad range of disciplines within the larger umbrella of illustration. So we are housed in the newly renovated, I think it was renovated right around the time Melanie, that you graduated in, I think, 2014.
Yes.
The Illustration Studies building, whose history dates back to 1848 when it was a dye factory. It's located on the Providence Canal in the heart of RISD's campus. And we also have auxiliary facilities for printmaking and digital illustration in a second building across the street. So in addition to spacious drawing and painting studios, we have a full printmaking studio, a risograph setup, a space for virtual reality, a dedicated wood shop, and advanced digital equipment, all accessible to students. So after a sophomore year of focused study in drawing, painting, illustration concepts, and illustration history, students are provided more autonomy over their studio focus in junior and senior year with a great array of electives. And there are 88 distinct elective classes at that undergrad level. Everything from, as I said before, our artistic anatomy and printmaking, editorial illustration, picture books, character design, concept art. It's this broad-based curriculum that makes us extremely attractive as a course of study for RISD students. So we invite a large number of speakers and critics each year and have an impressive run of shows in our gallery. We host both internal exhibitions of faculty and student work, as well as shows by illustrators who are engaged in a very active professional practice. Much of this programming takes place in the ISB Gallery, a versatile exhibition space on the first floor of our building. And we have another gallery for smaller exhibitions in the building as well on the fourth floor. RISD's alumni are among the world's most innovative and influential artists, authors, illustrators, and designers. Our vast alumni network covers the globe and has promoted professional inroads for our graduates for generations. This is the work of Armando Veve, Our alumni are regular recipients of awards like Forbes 30 Under 30 and the Caldecott Medal, and their works are featured in the world's most prestigious galleries, publications, and professional competitions. Here, here's a Caldecott winner, Brian Selznick, and David Weisner, a multiple Caldecott winner. I'm going to show just a few works by our alumni, all of whom have shaped meaningful careers after their time at RISD. This is Matt Lyons, John Foster, Vincent Valdez, Robin F. Williams, a painter, very well-known painter, successful painter, Eric White, Victor Nye, arguably one of the most influential and well-known freelance illustrators in the world. Chris Bazzelli, fantastic editorial illustrator. Jordan Issip, fine artist, illustrator, and curator. Sunny Liu. Carter Goodrich. Brian Konietzko, who you may know as co-creator of I believe the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Paula Rivera. Ju Hee Yoon, who teaches in our undergrad program, is an incredibly prolific freelance illustrator. Kikuo Johnson, known for his New Yorker covers and sequential work. Wesley Alsbrook, an editorial illustrator who's been doing incredible things with VR. Julia Rothman, whose work you'll see in the New York Times really frequently, does a lot of journalistic illustration, but is also creates books, does fabric and surface design. There's incredible breadth to Julia's work. So as I mentioned in the beginning, in addition to teaching undergraduate courses, I am the Illustration MFA Graduate Program Director. So now I'd like to talk in detail about the program. So we are really excited about the MFA. I'm heading up the program, but in addition, I'll be one of its faculty beginning the spring, and I'll also serve as the academic advisor for the MFA students. I'll start by telling you a little bit about how the program evolved. Our plans went through a lot of intense collaborative development, and all along we were intent on a few key principles. One, an MFA is not a BFA. So we think that an MFA has to be different than a BFA. Master's programs are supposed to dig deep, to ask harder questions, and to empower new leadership in the field. We want to do this with an emphasis on integrating salient social values and integrity into professional practice. Reflection and integrity matter. We want to deepen the level of critical and historical reflection about this field, its past, present, and future. Together, we'll look at illustration's vital role in promoting important values in culture and society. This kind of reflection and investment in professional integrity matters, especially in today's world. We are a nexus of knowledge. Finally, we wanted to take advantage of the nexus that RISD has become in the area of illustration history. Two of the chief editors of the seminal text on the history of illustration, as well as several of its authors, are among our faculty. With an understanding of history becomes innovation in the studio and a deeper awareness of context, political forces, and other factors that shape artistic output. So our program hopes to empower illustrators as agents of social and cultural advancement. We've articulated some values, and you're welcome to revisit them on the MFA website, but I'll briefly share them here because they're important to understand. The development of personal vision and approaches to practice empowers illustrators to engage social issues and contribute to the greater good. So the more confident you are in your distinct voice, the greater your empowerment to use those unique talents to do good in the world. Embracing experimental and culturally diverse methods equips illustrators to push the field in positive new directions. So the more you know about the diverse thinking and making that is out there in the world, the more you will add to the field. Focused scholarship and the artist's ability to brave uncertainty are key to true experimentation and the production of new knowledge. Our program complements intense studio inquiry with theoretical and historical scholarship. You'll emerge from the program as both a better artist and a scholar. Meaningful engagement with modes of publication and emerging and evolving technologies demands reflection on the interests they serve and their impact across diverse populations. So we also want to talk about the powers that govern publication, forces like capitalism, politics, and privilege. Knowing how to connect with diverse populations is a step towards inviting the wider world into conversation. Studio practice should advance principles of social equity and inclusion, environmental justice, and equal access to resources and opportunities. RISD is committed to engendering a more just and sustainable world, and our program is part of that commitment. Curriculum. So ours is a fully accredited 60-credit MFA spanning 2 academic years. At RISD, all students enroll in classes during fall and spring, but we have something really unique in a 5-week intensive winter session semester every year. That's the time to get outside the program for cross-disciplinary learning, to explore teaching at your own class, and to gain new perspective as an artist and thinker. So you'll progress through the program by taking on increasingly complex projects oriented around critical issues in illustration theory and practice. If you visit our website, you'll see a full outline of the courses you'll be taking, including course descriptions, but I'm laying it out here as well. The program includes a 5-hour studio class every semester, amounting to half of the MFA degree. This is a deliberate sequence from a first year that emphasizes immersive hands-on making to establish a rich visual vocabulary and technical knowledge to studies in narrative, how images function to tell stories. The second year is about the implications of our work as illustrators, what it means to contribute our unique talents to society and culture, and it ends with your personalized thesis work, a project defined by you that reflects your unique perspective as an illustrator. 1/4 of the degree is seminar coursework. Seminars are opportunities for research, writing, and dialogue. Authorship and voice are key to the future of illustration, so we're offering a creative writing workshop as a fundamental element of the course of study. You'll also have the option to get a head start on a college teaching career with support from RISD's Center for Teaching and Learning, if you'd like to go in that direction. Open electives round out the 60-credit degree. So you'll do this work in spaces reserved for our graduate illustration cohort, and you'll likely have some interaction with our undergraduate population as well. Your ingenuity will influence our BFA students. In all of these classes, you can expect dynamic exchange. Your practice and research is pushed further through regular feedback and in-depth critiques. RISD's critique culture is well known. A lot is discovered in our discursive environment. Your work is furthered by ongoing conversation. Our program invites some of the most interesting and reputable practicing illustrators to work closely with you and your cohort for up to 2 weeks in both fall and spring of each academic year. The open electives are up to you in consultation with your faculty and myself as graduate program director. In addition to the broad array of courses at RISD, electives may be selected from special graduate commons courses open to all graduate students across the college. These offerings allow you to engage in a range of topics and methods across departments. These are opportunities to explore the unexpected. So during your second year, you'll work on your thesis as a culmination of your grad experience and a catalyst for future professional and creative practice. You'll create a final body of work and produce a master's thesis book to accompany it. This is an opportunity for you to engage your work with a wider world through both publication and exhibition. Final thesis work has traditionally gone on display at our annual graduate thesis show in the spring. For the MFA in illustration, you'll publish your thesis and take part in the broader exhibition of all MFA students. These expository moments are both a celebration and an opportunity for students to get their work out there in the world. So beyond the studio and classroom, there are plenty of ways to further your research and practice and to receive funding in the process. So one way is through assistantships awarded on an individual basis at the time of admission. These assistantships can provide mentored professional training. Alongside Eric Telforth, the department chair, the RISD Financial Aid Office, and I will work with you in finding the right fit for assistantship, looking at what opportunities are best aligned with your talents, goals, and needs. So in addition to campus-wide events like the Social Equity and Inclusion Lecture Series, RISD invites artists, scholars, and others to give talks and workshops throughout the year that shed light on a range of issues related to creative practice. This is the award-winning cultural critic, Hilton Als. As I mentioned before, you'll have the opportunity to design and teach your own class during RISD's intensive 5-week winter session. As a new teacher, you will take on classes under the guidance of myself and the Center for Teaching and Learning. So in addition to department-funded assistantships, multiple external research opportunities are facilitated by RISD. We provide the option to apply for a Graduate Commons grant, an annual grant program that supports open-ended creative explorations and goal-oriented projects. You'll propose your own project for a Commons grant, and if it's funded, you'll use it to facilitate continued work. There are other funded opportunities to support your research. This is Gavin Zeitz from Landscape Architecture, and a recipient of the Maharam STEAM Fellowship, which supports summer internships for RISD students and recent alums. The Maharam program supports the opportunity to affect real change in sustainability and social justice through internships with local and global organizations and communities. We have an extraordinary careers office at RISD, and with their help, you'll receive ongoing support to explore these opportunities and your creative direction through future internships, residencies, and jobs. The career office offers opportunities like in-person portfolio reviews and direct connections to companies and organizations. All of this is in addition to the work your faculty will be doing to help you project your voice out there into the world. Our 50 illustration faculty members will be accessible to you in your core and elective classes. Each represents unique talents and expertise. So these are some RISD career stats available on the RISD website. Grants and awards, and internships, jobs, and opportunities. So our core MFA faculty represent an array of expertise and dedication to empowering our students to have a lasting impact on your personal and professional growth. So over 50 illustration faculty members in the department will be accessible to you in your core and elective classes. Each represents unique talents and expertise. While the faculty will rotate on occasion, 6 of us will be central to your time here, and you can read our bios on the MFA website. So we want people who are intent on making a difference in the world in ways both big and small through the field of illustration. For our first cohort, we're looking for really bright and talented students to start this. Actually, we're looking for the second cohort. Our first cohort is here to start in fall of 2023. So the ideal candidate holds a BFA or BA in illustration or related studio discipline, or a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts in a humanities or social science field. Whatever your background, it should be supported by a strong visual portfolio. Because professional experience is key to critical examination of the field, we would like our students to have professional, practical experience beyond their undergraduate degree. Critical thinking and curiosity are important, as are writing skills. So the ideal candidate wants to pursue important values and goals through creative practice and public partnerships. So we can talk now about how to apply. First, you'll need to fill out an application alongside your portfolio of work. With this, you'll also submit a statement of purpose, 3 letters of recommendation, and undergraduate school transcripts are required as well. If English is not your first language, you should submit language test scores from TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. The GRE is not required. We have a specific prompt that you'll need to answer in your statement of purpose, and you can take a look at that on the application link, but I'm including it up front here for your reference. So in 750 to 1,500 words, please describe how you hope to engage your values as a critical thinker and maker within the context of your studio practice and as a citizen of the world. Your statement should also reflect your understanding of the MFA, the illustration MFA, and what you hope to gain by completing the program. As I said, all applicants are required to submit a portfolio. This should include 10 to 20 examples of visual work. You'll use an art and design application portal called Slide Room that some of you may be familiar with to submit your portfolio. So applications are now open, so feel free to apply whenever you're ready. So these dates are actually have been changed. So the application deadline is actually January 5th. And the financial aid deadline is February 1st. We've updated it on the website, but those are the actual dates. January 5th for the applications, financial aid deadline January 1st. I'm sorry, February 1st. So if admitted, you'll automatically be considered for assistantships and fellowships, whether you're a domestic or international student. No extra application is necessary. Nearly 100% of RISD grad students receive some form of fellowship funding. Each fellowship is customized to the department you're applying to, and there's no average fellowship amount. So some contact information. I know that this is a lot of information, but hopefully we've provided you with plenty to prompt some questions and continued discussion. So you can always reach out to us via email at admissions@risd.edu. And be sure to visit our MFA website. This is the top link up there. And the graduate study, RISD's graduate study website as well to learn more.
I'll drop these in the chat in just a second.
Thank you, Melanie. So we can thank you guys again for listening. Melanie, you want to?
Yep. All right. So I'll stop the screen share here and pull the camera back up. All right. Hello. Hello
again.
Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to have Q&A. I can finally see all the windows now. So give me just a second and pull things up. Okay. All right. So please feel free to ask your questions. You also have the benefit of me being an alum too. It's undergrad, but looking at a lot of this presentation, this is actually exactly like when I was an undergrad at RISD. When you apply undeclared, and my ultimate desire was to go to graphic design and have master's in illustration, but that didn't exist then. And now I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, it would have been perfect. So yeah, so we've got our first couple questions here. So for someone who has been out of the field for 4 years, should I do an MFA or BFA? I went to an art high school and I still do illustrations and graphic design in my own time, but I have not studied it since high school.
I would think that this sounds more like a situation where BFA would be most appropriate. Coming out of high school, yeah, I would recommend. Our undergrad, our illustration BFA program is incredible, and it might be good to sort of go back and we after our first year, foundational year, our sophomore year in the BFA program really grounds you in perceptual study, drawing, painting, learning perspective, drawing the figure, understanding sort of the conceptual side, and illustration history. So I would say in this situation, it sounds like a BFA might be more appropriate.
All right. And then another question here. Can you tell us more about the first cohort of MFA illustration? who are they? How has the process been, etc.?
Sure. So our first cohort is 15 students, and they reflect my description of what we're looking for. What we as I described, and they're from a really wonderfully broad range of backgrounds. Some of them come out of a illustration BFA or fine art bachelor's degree, a BFA programs, and then a number of the students come from different liberal arts backgrounds in their undergraduate study, social sciences, hard sciences. But most of them have been, have had a varying degree of life experience and working on their practice after their undergrad study. We had the students work in terms of media and the kind of work that they're interested in, and they're studying animation, painting. Some are interested in kind of areas that kind of cross over into fine arts from illustration, including installation. There's a number of students interested in sequential work, comics. So it's a wonderfully broad range of folks from again, like I think the cohort is really is wonderfully enriched by that breadth of experience that they have.
Yeah, I would say that was one of my favorite parts of my entire time at RISD, was just everyone coming from different places, different stages of life. Not all of us were fresh high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
We had some students that were a little bit older as undergrads. And then I would say my experience in the illustration department was definitely enriched by having grad TAs. So that was a fun thing, and that's an opportunity, like one of the assistantships you can get as a grad student. But also there were times where the grad students are part of my class too, and that, again, that same enrichment. So yeah, taking classes with grad students too, that was another really cool thing. And again, they weren't in the illustration department, but there is a lot of opportunity for kind of cross educational opportunities here, not just bound to your one area.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning the assistantships, and that's something else I could speak to. Is we have the kinds of assistantships that the current cohort are doing are also wonderfully diverse. So we have students working in the special collections of the Fleet Library, at the Nature Lab, teaching assistantships, working with different organizations within RISD, like the Center for Complexity. So there's a really wonderful range of opportunities for assistantships here at RISD.
For sure. All right, and y'all can keep questions coming. That'd be awesome. We can still speak to just kind of other areas. Oh, we got a couple. All right, so someone is asking, they're a part-time muralist, and would public art be counted as a type of illustration work?
Most definitely, yes. One of our key MFA faculty, part of Andrea Desso, part of Andrea's practice is fantastic public art. If you look at the website at Andrea's bio, she's done these incredible murals in New York subway stations, mosaic murals, all sorts of kind of public installations. And so, yes, a muralist would certainly count as part of this wide umbrella, that the way that we're looking at illustration to include lots of disciplines that are narrative in nature, perhaps, but cross over into fine art. It's really a question of semantics sometimes, but yes, that would definitely count as fitting into some of the goals of the program.
And to add, just from an admissions perspective, if you do have any work that's collaborative, so sometimes that might be any mural work, public work, just to make sure that in your application you let us know which parts you did do. And yeah, but otherwise collaborative work, murals, anything like that, all can be part of the application portfolio. All right, and then question here, when applying for FAFSA, should I select work study? That is a great question. I actually don't know the nuance of the FAFSA anymore. The best person or the best office to get in touch for that question would be Student Financial Services.
Yeah.
And I can drop their email in the chat. Student Financial Services. And they're kind of like just like admissions, where they have counselors to talk to, even if you're not a student already. So they are happy to answer your questions and can get into kind of the specifics of your own individual financial aid situation too. Yep. And yeah, actually, so something I did want to go back to, looking at the list of alums that were in the presentation. So a really cool thing that I got to experience were a lot of those people, if like some of them were my professors, but some of those people also were friends with my professors or just other artists that were invited to come to campus. So I got to see Victo, now I present, Juhi Yoon came to my class once, and we did critique with Juhi. Chris Buzelli, of course, is a professor, and he is awesome at what he does, his editorial work. Yeah, there's a lot of great opportunity here, and even a bunch of artists who are not necessarily like RISD affiliated who come in as well. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his name, but it was a very formative thing. But the creator of Rocco's Modern Life, I'm absolutely forgetting his name right now, but he came, and that was like I was starstruck. It was like this ultimate lecture for the illustration and film animation video students, and it was a really cool opportunity. So yeah, it's great that RISD has the pull to be able to get artists and designers to come in and present and be really inspiring.
Throughout the year, throughout the all this during all the semesters, we have there's folks coming in person, there's folks zooming in. The gallery was mentioned. We have really wonderful shows in the gallery from visiting illustration artists, and yeah, I think it's really wonderful that I think it really speaks to the strengths of the department that we have so many alumni that are that are working in adjacent fields, from animation, character design, concept art, and as painters and fine artists, and then as picture book makers, and that role of authorship, I think, is so strong in both undergrad and this new MFA program. Really finding your voice and developing it.
Yes,
So many, as you said, so many fantastic faculty to work with here.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and speaking of faculty, Susan, I actually took Susan's history of illustration class before, right? I think it was just before that book came out. I remember how enriching that book was, and how it really contextualized illustration in everything for just the history of everything. It's not just like, illustration as we might think of it more now as maybe editorial or talking about cartoon, anything like that. But it went back to like oh my gosh, illuminated letters. I remember looking at all the old publishing things and the typesetting and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a really cool class, and it's awesome that Susan is here with us, and she has that amazing book.
Jeline too, the other co-author.
Oh,
the three, Jeline Grove, an amazing scholar. Both Susan Doyle and Jeline are here, and yeah, amazing. That book is really groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So we have a couple great questions here.
So what potential career paths could you see for graduates of the MFA illustration program? Could you envision an illustrator who has an existing freelance practice developing or improving their business, or would you recommend a more corporate career path?
Well, that's the wider issue there versus a self-directed kind of freelance independent practice, or a more corporate career path where you might be working collaboratively within a studio or a animation, an animation studio or a graphic design firm, etc. I mean, that's quite a large question in terms of a big decision to make. But we do have, in the current cohort, we have a few students who have established and have been published and have established themselves as freelancers, and they're really looking to deepen their work and maybe in some ways expand it outside of what they've established for themselves as freelancers and the kind of clients they have, etc. So you could think of it as an opportunity to enrich your work, but I think you might want to have some degree whether you want it to kind of use that time to investigate your work, and then to return to the field that you've been working in with kind of a renewed portfolio or new directions, perhaps a more developed personal voice, or you may want to kind of investigate developing a portfolio which shifts its focus maybe to be directed towards, you mentioned a more corporate career path. I mean, you could use the time to kind of direct your portfolio there. But I will say that I think that in general, the program is really directed more, again, at developing a kind of a personal vision and an authorship rather than technical skills, which will make you fit into a more conformist program, which will make you fit into, say, the gaming world or the animation world in a more linear way or a more direct way. So our focus is less on, I would say, generally less on fitting into existing kind of career opportunities within some of the larger careers for illustration, and more about developing a personal vision. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I've always like with my time at RISD, I also I studied abroad and went to Central St. Martin's, and something I realized about being at RISD was that like RISD does provide a skeleton and you can kind of make what you want of it. So you've got the courses to choose from and the professors to work with. So if you like did want to go more of a corporate path, like that could be there. But it's ultimately it's a lot of like soul searching and making the work that you identify with, and that's kind of what comes out organically. Everyone just does their own thing, and your work will look entirely different from the person next to you. Yeah.
I will say too, I mean, I think I'm kind of thinking that when you say corporate, I think you're thinking of creative corporate. So like if you wanted to say if your goal was to be a characters designer, you wanted to work for Pixar, or you wanted to work for DreamWorks. I mean, I think that that in terms of developing a body of work, a portfolio that's more innovative and would provide the opportunity for you to come in as a more innovative person within those fields. I think that our program could provide that. If you're interested in more training, kind of like that's more software or training based, in order to fit in that way, more technical, I'd say that our focus is a little bit, is less that.
All right. Any other questions?
Well, thanks for the great questions.
Yeah, thank you all. Yeah, we're if you have nothing else you want to know, we're also, like we said earlier, available by email. You can email admissions@risd.edu. Caleb, what's the process if they want to get in touch with the illustration department? Do you have something?
Go to the MFA site. You can reach out. You can reach out through the regular. Our bios are on the MFA site, but you can also reach out via via the regular RISD site. Our bios there, and our email addresses are there as well.
Well, yeah, and I would say stick the admissions questions, stick them over here with us, keep those over here. But they're probably happier to talk about more department specific things.
Yeah, the admissions department could direct you with specific questions about the program, could direct you to me as well.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Oh, and we have another question here. This is about portfolio reviews on Friday. So I think it's about the ones coming up on Friday. So we do have a portfolio day. It is filled, unfortunately. We do have another date coming up. Let me find the link to that really quickly.
Is that for all grad programs? No.
Yeah, it's not illustration specific. So let me grab that really quickly. And let me see what. Okay, so our next availability is December 9th. And that is, going to be pretty close to the deadline. So that might be where you kind of have things a little bit more buttoned up. And yeah, so to explain how those work, we have reviewers who are mostly alums, and they are going to be reviewing your work, and we do our best to match department to department, but at least the person reviewing you will be in your area, whether that's fine arts or design, and they'll be able to speak to your work. Like we're not going to give someone who makes work in 3D, like is a sculptor, to like a photography alum. Actually, we do have a photography alum who's very well versed in a lot of things, so that might actually be the exception. But not to anyone who doesn't feel confident reviewing that work. And so the advice is super helpful. Everyone comes back into the main room and they're like, that was great. So we're happy to review you. And again, it's just for feedback. It doesn't have any impact on admissions decisions. And it's just helpful to have this experience to be able to articulate your work and share it and find out what's working and find out, maybe what needs a little bit more work on it. And yeah, so that is the link in the chat. And for anyone who is already signed up for Friday, you have your time slot, you signed up for it. So we'll send out some reminders. And if you aren't able to make it, let us know, because people will snatch up those spots really quickly. So just get in touch with us and we can always cancel your appointment. But yeah, I think that is everything. So thank you all for attending. Thank you, Caleb, for your time here. And this is recorded. I am the person who uploads all of these to YouTube. So it will get there as soon as I can get it up there, hopefully tomorrow or the next day. And there are plenty of other sessions coming up as well. We did talk a little bit about the Career Center, and let me drop that in the chat. So the Career Center presentation is tomorrow, and I highly recommend going to that because it will give you a lot of advice on like what happens after RISD and kind of all your options. And Kevin Jankowski, the director there, is actually an illustration alum as well.
He's great. He's fantastic.
His presentation is robust. Like you are going to watch it and be like, oh my gosh. So a lot of information there. And then
so informative. Yeah.
Yes. And then the RISD Nature Lab, which was also mentioned, that's the session right afterwards. And the Nature Lab is this incredible space. I loved it. I lived in there as an undergrad student, and I'll post their website as
Yeah, I
well.
love it as well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Can I just grab this last question that came up? How
yes.
important is technical training for the program? Can self-taught illustrators apply? And the answer is definitely yes. And in our current cohort, we have a few, a fair amount of students who have developed their work kind of outside of their educational experience or in tandem with it in ways that are different than a traditional BFA background.
Perfect. All right, so that is everything. Hit the links in the chat before I close the meeting. And thank you again for attending, and we'll see you at the next sessions tomorrow.